Hi, I'm Nellie Callback, and I have Iris here with me, and I let her say the last name because I'm not really sure how she pronounces it. So I'm super happy to have Iris here for Creative Jumpstart 2019, and she's super cool, first time with us. But I let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit about yourself. Hi, Iris.
Hi, Natalie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Iris. Fritschi-Cussens is how I pronounce it. I am a mixed media artist. I'm Dutch. I live in London in the UK, have done for many years. I'm a mixed media artist, but what I do most of all is do art for self-expression and self-discovery. So that means I'm not just like creating art for a result. I'm creating it for my inner me.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I stumbled across your work through Instagram, and then also we taught together a different online class. And then I was like, oh, this is really cool. I have to check this out. So I'm always excited when I find someone new and a very distinct or different style. So are you usually or mostly doing art journaling, or you also work on canvases, or what is the scope of your work?
Mm-hmm. I mostly work in art journals. It really is my comfort zone. I've tried to kind of move out of my comfort zone. I like to kind of push myself as part of my process for self-expression, self-discovery. It's nice to not stay just like comfortable in here and to kind of try different things. But when I do, I really struggle and I come up against a lot of issues. So I then just go back to, I'm kind to myself. I go back to my art journals and I do that. But I do, I try to do, I've got canvas here, but I haven't really succeeded with it, it's a struggle, but in a way that's kind of nice. I've got my comfort zone, and I can kind of sometimes venture out of it, and so mostly art journals.
I really like that you said that your art journal is your comfort zone. I mean, Creative Jumpstart, by the way, guys, it's not just about art journaling, but to talk about art journaling, for me, actually that describes it very well because I do a lot of paintings too, but the art journal is kind of like my starting point to get into the whole groove of painting and, do something. I can never start right away on a canvas. So I think describing it as a comfort zone is a really, really cool way. Thank you for that. So, Iris, speaking of comfort zones, because some people say their home is their comfort zone, and Creative Jumpstart's theme the coming year, some of you might not know that for our new viewers. So Creative Jumpstart posts a video every January, from January 1st to January 31st. A 10 to 15 minute video, and the artists that are participating, they get a kind of loose theme, and the theme that they got this year, or for next year, 2019, was My Home is My Castle, and it pretty much is about like, what do you, how do you describe what your home is, or what inspires you about it? So what does home mean for you?
I quite like this question. I've been thinking about like the theme of the course, and for me, I've been thinking home is really people to me. It's like when I think about the people who make my home, then home is no longer this physical box that I live in. I mean, those people in my physical box that I live in, they make my home too. But there's my home is much larger. Because I've got not just like the people who live with me, like my two kids and my husband, but also, my best friend and her home. She creates a home for me. I've got other friends, and they create all these homes for me, and that's kind of what it's that feeling of, being loved by people.
Yeah,
that's what it means to me, rather than a physical space.
I love that, and I can totally relate to that. I guess we share the experience of having moved countries. So, and I have moved also a lot while I was in Germany. I'm originally from Germany. I don't know if you know that, Iris. So, but you heard it.
Yeah.
So, And it's true. I think I felt the first time really at home, or I had already friends when we moved here to the US, and that made it easier for me to feel at home as well. And I assume for you probably once you had friends or had like people you could go to, then that feels more home too, right?
I think that's really, my artistic journey has really fed into this, because I think I was quite lonely when I moved to the UK. I didn't know anyone, and I think it took me a long time to find myself. And I not to say that I found myself. I'm not like, yeah, I've got it all figured out. Yeah. But like, it took me a long time to kind of make more steps towards becoming the person that I'm becoming. And I think feeling more comfortable in myself has brought me closer to a feeling of home. Like, because if you'd have asked me 10 years ago, I would have said home was my room, like the place, physical place that I feel safe in. And now my answer is obviously completely changed to people rather than place. So I think it's that, that is a testament to my own journey, really.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that sometimes people are confused when I refer to the US or the place here in the US as my home, but then also Hamburg in Germany as my home, because I go there quite often still. And it's like, I really feel like it's home. Both places are home. And it is definitely connected to the people. And I think if my friends and family wouldn't be in Germany anymore than, or in Hamburg, for example, then I don't think it would feel that much as a home anymore. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I agree. Because for me, home is where the people are. Whereas if I go to like a place in Holland that I don't have a connection with, then it almost feels foreign in my own country.
Right.
So it's not, it's not the geographical place. It's the, where you feel familiar, where you feel known. That's home.
Where in the Netherlands are you from, or like where? Yeah.
I'm from Rotterdam.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Big harbor.
Yes. That's what it's known for. Yeah. Right. And a very trendy place these days. Not when I was there, but now it is. Yeah.
But what inspiration do you take from your home? And that can be, as you said, like your friends or whatever you relate to it. Or maybe your country. So what do you take and how do you think it's represented in your artwork?
I think for me it's probably represented very metaphysically. It's not, not in a very concrete way. But I think that because for me, art journaling is about self-discovery. Not just journaling. When I say art journaling, I just mean making art. It's about self-discovery, and I feel like, okay, there are several ways that you can discover yourself, and I kind of feel like one of them is from a place of love, and one of them is from a place of extreme, I don't know, loneliness maybe. And I've experienced both. So right now I'm very much in a place of feeling love.
Yeah.
So I can draw on that. But then there have been other times where I've where I've been very unhappy and I felt like very alone in the world, not necessarily because I didn't have people, but just because it didn't feel like. And then art, that feeling informs the art as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense to me too, because when I started this whole mixed media journey in 2004 or something. I was working as a paralegal in a law office, and we did a lot of asylum seeker cases and pro bono cases, and I had a hard time sometimes to just let go of the hardship that I experienced at work of people there, and art definitely helped me to kind of process some of that. Because you can't every day being Debbie Downer and telling your friends all those horrible things that you can't. So but I think that really helped me process a lot of the things that I thought about or dealt about, and I still do even politics or things that happen in the world that go through my mind. And what I love about that process is that you don't necessarily have to really share the exact thoughts that you have with the outside world. You share your artwork or your journaling, but you still know, you're still the person who really knows what was going on, and other people might interpret that in a different way. Is that something you play with too, or like to do?
Yeah, I love that very much about the process, because, you know, I make art for myself. I try not to make it for other people. Like, as in, I try not to be thinking, oh, somebody's going to think something of
Right.
it. But then what I do love is, like, when I put it out there and I say, okay, this is the thing, you know, here, this is me represented in art. You know, people will see what they want to see. People will see what they need to see. And the reaction that then comes from it, especially the reactions that are like non-judgmental. Obviously, if somebody goes like, well, that's crap, that's not the type of reaction I'm talking about. I'm talking about the type of reaction where someone has really either seen part of me, or they've really seen part of themselves through the art. I think that's really beautiful. And that's, you know, that's what I love about sharing my art.
Yes, they can relate, right? So I think that's where, like, you can only... Actually, you can hate something too if you relate to it, but I mean, but I think we always, like, if someone can't see anything in this, you can have all kinds of emotions when you look at art, I feel, but if you just feel there's nothing for you that you relate in a positive or negative way, then you might feel that's crap, right? That's more like, that's crap. That's because that person can't relate to it, right? So that's cool. That's very interesting. I guess we share this a little bit.
Yeah.
So
it's really nice. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's nice to discover people who look at art in not just as a kind of an aesthetic thing, but also as a, like, oh, this is making me feel something, or this is making me think about something. I really like that.
I wanna. So we mentioned before you're originally from the Netherlands, and when did you move to London or to the UK?
When I was 18.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So only when I was just baked. So not literally, not in a drug way. Sorry. I just mean, like, I'd only just become like an official adult, you know.
Yes.
So so a very kind of, I don't know, I guess quite a vulnerable time to move to a foreign country by myself. I know a lot of people do it, but, you know, like, thinking back, you know, oh, little 18-year-old going.
That is bold.
Yeah. So that's
So when you think about, I mean, I'm sure, but can you finger point it in a way? Do you think that experience of having grown up in a different country, or you know, this moving, or like being Dutch, like, does that have some things that you think make your artwork or your way of expressing yourself unique, or like, can you point something in your artwork where you would say, yeah, I guess that's where it comes from?
I'm not sure about the artwork itself, but I think that one of the things that I like about being Dutch is that the Dutch are quite direct. And, you know, not everybody who is Dutch is direct, but I do love kind of as kind of a general picture of the Dutch. I like that directness. I identify with it. I always think I'm quite no nonsense and stuff.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you know, my journey of kind of self-discovery has led me to, you know, quite a lot of introspection, quite a lot of looking at myself, trying to develop myself. And I think that the Dutch directness can be a real barrier. And then this other part of me is very much more soft and kind of ready. But I love being both, you know.
Yes.
I don't want to just be like just one. I like being both, and I kind of feel like that's one of the things that I love doing also in my art, in my writing, like writing about art, is that I like to take the analytical, no nonsense approach, and then merge it in with all of this creative, like, you know, kind of inexplicable stuff. I love how the two meet. I really enjoy that. So I think that's how I kind of bring in my Dutchness into my art and what I do.
Yeah, that's true. Dutch people and also German peoples are not very known for their flowery attitude. So
yes, or for their tact. We're not known for our tact.
Which makes it really easy for me living here on the East Coast, in New York and New Jersey, because
absolutely.
That's where the rest of America thinks these people are rude, and I'm like, hey, they're totally fine.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like people always say, like, oh, New York is such a rude place. I'm like, no, it's really not to me.
Do you feel like Londoners are different from, like, I mean, we won't be like embarrassing or mean or anything, but like, do you feel like Londoners, like, as they say, like New Yorkers, or they also have, of course, in Germany, they say like people from Hamburg are very cold, and so I'm sure there's in the Netherlands like cities where they have prejudices too. Is there something about Londoners that is different to the rest of the country?
I guess so. It does feel different in London to the rest of the country, and they do say, like, you can live next to someone for like 10 years and never exchange word with them, which I think is it's just a London charm. I do know my neighbors, but I don't really talk to them very much, but I do know who they are.
I love that about the city.
Yeah, there's this one, like, what I love is, okay, when you commute in London and you go on the tube, and if you commute during rush hour, either, especially in the morning, but also so in the afternoon, if you enter a carriage, it will usually be very, very quiet. It will be rammed full of people, but it will be very quiet. And you can almost, it's this really nice feeling of togetherness while not being together.
Yeah.
I really like it. And if there's then a group of tourists that come in and they're like, yeah, blah, 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 you can kind of, it's like, it's palpable how people go like, we're not supposed to be talking in here right now. So, yeah, that's something it's like really a distinct London thing, I think, and I really like that. Yeah.
I like that too. There is actually also not a lot of talking when you do the morning commute here with the path into New York City. I live just outside New York City. But it's funny if something happens, like, let's say, and I'm sure you know that too, because I've been enough in London to see all those signs when they announce actually good service, which I always found very, very funny. Like, you point out when there is good service on certain lines, like in the station, and you're like,
that's right.
Shouldn't you just point out when there is bad service? I guess you know.
Yes. Or when they point out that you've been waiting for a train that's delayed, and then they tell you there's a good service. That's
right. And here it's like, so you're like in the train, and then something happens, like the train hops, or like you're like, oh my god, this is it. We're in the tunnel, and now we're gonna die, or whatever. Or it stops for no apparent reason, and no one says anything. There's this like bonding thing with your people in the carriage, where you're like, okay, now we're friends. I love that. Very good. You doing? So you said you're commuting. Are you also?
I don't commute.
Okay.
No, but I sometimes take the tube at the time that other people commute.
Gotcha. No problem.
Yeah.
Okay. That was super fun. So, last question, Iris. How do you jumpstart yourself to get creative?
It's a good question. I don't know if I really have a specific answer. I don't have a ritual or a thing that I do specifically, but what I do try to do is I try to be creative almost all the time. So I'll go through phases where I literally art journal every evening, even if I don't feel like it. And sometimes people, they look at me very surprised, like, really? You do it even when you don't feel like it? I'm like, yes. And I usually watch Netflix at the same time, just to kind of like comfort myself a little bit. But I do feel like it's embracing those times when I don't feel inspired, and still kind of do something, maybe like paint something and draw something simple. And I really feel like if you nurture those low creative times, then it also helps you be like completely on fire in the times that you are inspired. Because I kind of felt like if I just wait for inspiration, I'd probably only do art once a month, and then I would go crazy. So
is there anything you want to tell the viewers that is besides Creative Jumpstart 2019 that you have coming up that you want to, shout out and say, check this out?
Oh yeah, that's really nice of you to ask. Yeah, I've got a few things that I'm really excited about. I'm teaching on a few year-long courses.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm teaching on Lifebook 2019,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm super excited about. I am teaching on Art Walk Alchemy 2019, and I'm teaching on Wanderlust 2019.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so busy year, like really exciting to like just connect with so many students. So I'm excited about that. And I'm also going to be teaching on a retreat in May in the UK called Jodie's TP Weekender, and I'm super excited about that as well.
Very cool. So check out Iris at Creative Jumpstart, sign up for Creative Jumpstart, and check her website out, and get familiar with her if you haven't been. I'm looking so much forward to your video for Creative Jumpstart, and it was really a pleasure meeting you today. We haven't met before, and chatting with you. Thank you, Iris.
Thank you. It's been really nice.
Bye.
Bye.